is that we can no longer assume that we maintain air, maritime, and information superiority. Under Force Design 2030, what is coming and what is being phased out and what is being phased in?
That's a deep one. Okay. Conceptually, history is a great lesson in military, right? In warfare. Things change, but some things don't. I don't want to use the Pacific because we'll get into a discussion about all there is the first island chain. No, that's not the case. Let's assume we're in Europe right now. How long did it take the 8th Air Force to gain air dominance over Europe? Time. It wasn't a guarantee on day one. Mm-hmm. It was in Afghanistan.
Right.
Dominance. Like there's nothing else flying. And no offense to that adversary, anybody that's been in contact with those guys, that combat's combat. We didn't have that big jet fighter aircraft fights over Afghanistan that I recall. I don't recall that.
No.
Whether it's a peer or a near peer, you determine what the current adversary is. They do. So that automatic assumption, if you're going to operate, you already have certain things that are guaranteed. That is no longer a fact. It's not a fact. Not against an adversary. I would also offer, if we're really thinking about, nation state, us against, like, say, a China, right? Is that the future? Don't know, but there's this thing called proxy, and we've fought that pretty regularly over the course of the last, 80 years too. Mm-hmm. A nation's capabilities helping someone else fight us and our capabilities, that's proxy, right? So it's the same kind of thing. I would offer that force design is based on a couple of not assumptions, but facts. One, the adversary has light capabilities in all domains. New to our last generation of warfare. Not historically, but in the last, right? Experience is important here. History is important. Two, how do we compete in that environment? Okay? Simple things. Deception is new again. Our last 20 years showed us physical presence in most cases was also a deterrent. Mm-hmm. If I'm hearing you see me, I won't act. Now we're back to hiding because we can be seen. And being seen is bad. Distribution of the force is interesting. We think in terms historically, this is where history, we can change a little bit how we operate. Historically, let's use artillery. And this gets into some of your real question about things we're doing and not doing. Massing of artillery to mass effects is a thing of the past because your artillery can now be targeted with small amounts of lethal precision weapon systems and destroy all of your capability. What if you can distribute the capability and still mask the fires? Sounds simple, but quite frankly, it's new. It's new. So in order to distribute that force, now you put the enemy in a conundrum where they have to target not all, they have to target one. They don't know which one. Is it a decoy, right? In what environment are you providing that decoy? In cyber, emissions, EW? Not a factor the last 20 years or so. And now how do you mask those effects? And those effects may not be kinetic. They may be non-kinetic. They may be in cyber. They may be some action in space. They may be maneuvering a force under the water. There may be a resupply or movement of a subsurface unmanned craft that's bringing resupply to a place you're not yet at. But when you're distributed, you maneuver there to provide deception to the adversary. That's a new complexity to warfare that we're doing now that is actually distracting and confusing to our peer adversary. That's new. At national level capabilities, right? Conventional warfare at the high end. That takes a lot of work to kind of put that in place. That's Force Design 2030.
Mm-hmm. I got to ask this question for all my friends and MARSOC buddies. Where does MARSOC fall into Force Design 2030?
Service bias. Is that fair? Can I do that?
Yeah, please.